this is Vicki Jervikis of the Greater Gainesville Chamber, and I'm delighted today to welcome Dr. Sylvain Dore, who is one of our candidates for the State House, and he's running for representative in District 21. Welcome. We're happy to have you today.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
All right.
And my name is Sylvain Dore, and I decided to run. Yes.
Jump right in.
I decided to run because well, first a bit about myself. I'm from Canada. I did my education in Montreal. I was there for 11 years, graduated with in medicine, then was recruited at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Washington. And that's where I started my career, mostly studying the brain in relation to ischemic stroke, hemorrhagic stroke, traumatic brain injury, understanding the pathology, but also understanding how we can potentially treat. And I did research on pharmaceuticals. I work with big pharma, but also did research on, for example, explaining how the dark chocolate is good for your brain. So these are the fun facts. Then I was recruited at University of Florida. In fact, when they called me and they said, "Would you come?" I said, "Sure, University of Florida. It's going to be by the water. It's going to be wonderful." And it came out to be wonderful. It's a beautiful, great family, and not necessarily by the water. It's really central, but it's been wonderful, and I really adopted it here. It's amazing. So I've been there for 13 years and recently retired. And I decided to stay in Florida, and then I realized that there's things that I think we can do better in Florida, and that's why I decided to get involved. I should mention that I ran for state senate in 2024, and I knew the numbers were against me. But I did it anyway because I believe that people should have a choice. And also, I believe in democracy. So it was a great learning experience. I met amazing people. I learned tremendously. I also spent quite a lot of time in Tallahassee, then understood the process, etc. And I think people have good intention. And we just want to make sure that we do things that we listen to people, and that the results really matter for the people. That's really solutions that are really important.
Okay, let me jump in, and we'll do some questions and delve into some of the details of that. So our first question is, what would be your top priorities and projects in the legislature if you're elected?
Right. Interestingly, if you look at the budget, about 67% of the budget is all about healthcare and education. And on the floor, both at the House and the Senate, there's not many doctors or professors. So I think I bring, in that regard, I bring something that is really unique. And it's also in continuity of my predecessor, Evan Hinson, who was also very much into education and promoting health, etc. So I think it fits very well. So for me, if I think, for example, for education, one program I would like to promote is daycare. The reason why I say that is because I was elected as part of my community service within the institution as president of the faculty senate and member of the board of trustees. And there we expanded Baby Gator, which is a daycare facility for the young kids from 6 weeks to 4-year-old. and noticed that this really changed life of so many people. And so that's why I would like to offer that to every Floridian. I think we've done it at UF. I learned the concept, and I think I'm ready to move it uh, to expand it further. And what is nice about that is, and I put the numbers together, um, there's maybe two other states who have similar programs. The one that I'm proposing would be less expensive than the one, for example, in New Mexico, but still a significant commitment. But what is interesting is that if you do that, first, it's known to be one of the best, greatest equalizer, meaning that everyone has the same chance to develop at early age. And because I study the brain, um, we know that from 6 weeks to 4-year-old, this is a critical period. If you are in a rich environment, then that's going to benefit your entire life. And it's been documented, for example, that when it's time to grade, to test the kids at later age for reading and mathematics, you increase by 10 points if they attend such daycare. So that's great for the kids. It's great for the parents because often when I was at the Blueberry Festival, I met a young couple. They had two kids. Then the question is, should one stay home? Should one make a pause in their career? And now we know that to buy a house, you essentially need two salaries in many cases, such that, and sadly, it's often the women who tend to stay home. So it's wonderful if they want to make that decision and stay home, but for people who want to continue their career, they would have that option. And then it gives them a break, so potentially some money for a down payment for a house, etc. So I think it's a win-win at every level. And then what I found out also at UF is that because you have to comply with federal rules and regulations, so you have to invest in the facilities because we know that the ratio of educator with children is very different at different age, and so with that, then we would have to invest in our schools to renovate, to make sure that there's place for all the kids, etc. And then if we renovate our schools, we save our schools because right now many schools are closing. Mm-hmm. And then if we save our schools, I believe we save also our community center because it's often where the place where people get together. So for me, it's a win-win on many regard. And one unintended consequences is that for us, it became the best tool to recruit people. If we want to recruit the best to come at an institution, having a program like that is the best tool. And I was invited by the school board of Marion County, and they were looking for ways to attract teachers and retain them. And we discussed about that, and having a daycare facility on site makes big difference, and I think that can be a win-win for everybody. So that for me would be a big plan. And obviously there's affordable housing, transportation, etc. So these are all issues that are critical, and I think, as I would say in many regard, these would be no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. Especially coming from a brain doctor. All right, the next question I have for you, and that's a great segue, I think, into it, which is, what particular skills and experiences are you going to bring to the office?
Right. I think what's different from at least the other candidates that are running for the same position is that I have experience. I did my training from a private institution to public institution. I published more than 250 papers. I trained countless students, junior faculty. I mentored them. And also, I was elected by my peers at the College of Medicine, but also I became president of the Faculty Senate and member of the Board of Trustees. And when I was a member of the Board of Trustees, around the table, there were essentially people from other political point of view. And I was able to work with them um, and accomplish quite a lot of various bipartisan program. Um, One that I discuss is the expansion of Baby Gator. Another one has been for affordable housing. We I convince, and that's with discussion with the board and the CFO, that we bought an apartment complex, renovated it such it became affordable housing for all the 700 postdocs and 6,500 graduate students. Um, we did also some, I call it police reform, but mostly training how the police to use a taser instead of a gun, depending on the situation, additional training for de-escalation. And also, for me, I'm really a problem solver. So um, when I see a problem, I process it and discuss with colleagues. And we noticed that very sadly, we had one student who was hit by a car on university, and that student sadly died from that incident. And and then what we decided to do is, and many people probably don't like me right now, but if you drive on University Avenue and you remember those speed bump, that's partially because of me. When you cannot turn right on red, that's also because of me. These are all projects that you had to work with Department of Transportation, with the city, with the county, etc. So I've been able to work with people on the other side, and for me, every problem there's a solution, and I love to involve different people, such that consult with them back and forth to make sure that the solution at the end is really something that matters to them, and that's what I intend to do.
Very good. Okay, our third question is, what are your thoughts? This is going to be a big topic of conversation the next few months. What are your thoughts on the property tax amendment that's going to be on the ballot in the fall?
Right. I had time to put some numbers together, and interestingly, in Alachua it was quite easy to get the numbers. In Marion County, it was a bit more challenging. But I think it's important that people realize um, what would be the consequences, because obviously everyone would like to pay less taxes, especially in terms of property tax. Myself, I have a small business, real estate, and I have different properties. And when it's time to pay those taxes, it's a significant amount. But for me, I believe that this is for our school, for our safety, etc. So I believe it's okay. But then with this bill, the consequences would be quite dramatic, I think. If we just think for the city of Gainesville, the revenue loss is estimated from 7 to 12.5 million. For Alachua County, it would be up to $49 million per year. So these are significant cuts. And it's been also documented by agency who, for example, the Florida Policy Institute, they said that to recoup this loss of funding, because they estimated that the total loss would be for the state 25 billion. So they say that the tax probably would have to increase from 6 to 12%, number one. And because again, if you create a tax break here, then some other people will have to pay. And I find that concerning. For example, if you think about the renters, for example, for me, I almost feel like it's a triple whammy. They don't get the tax benefit because they rent. Their rent will likely increase because the tenant and the landlord has to pay more. And then at the end, potentially the sales tax or other tax would increase. So it's not very good for them. And then we have to realize at the end that it's going to have to be significant cut that will be on police officers, on firefighters, on public school, on road pavement and fixing those potholes. Um, and I think that's really concerning. Even the credit agencies, they put a warning stating that that could change, and if that the rating change, then the interest rate when we borrow money will be higher. So um, I think it's obviously it's popular, and since our governor, that's the end, and he wants to have big political news that will come out of that for sure. But I think I think as a community we have to continue to help each other, and that's my spirit.
Okay, very good. Okay, fourth question is Florida moving in the right direction or the wrong direction?
Um, well, we're moving forward. um, I think I mean, it depends. And this is a typical politician answer. It depends in regard, for example, if you look at the university system, I find that a bit um, concerning that we went through, I don't know, 5 or 6 different presidents, and or on school boards there were a lot of discussion on specific books, and we knew already that if you make the request, the book can be moved to another section, etc., or removed. And what is sad about that is that you don't take the time to really address what's the issue. And then we realize after a couple of months and years that we have, for example, in Marion County and Alachua to some degree, some of the worst reading skills and math skills for our students. So I think we have to be careful about that. I think we have to think globally and what's best for everyone. For me, I'm a fighter, especially for people who don't have a voice, um, and um, and I think that's important. So in that regard, and then we know that the school are closing, and what I find that sad about that is when school close, you lose also the kind of the community center, and for me it brings people outside, it brings people together. They're going to go and see a football game or baseball game or soccer or a singing competition or a spelling bee competition, and it brings people from different background together, and we need more of that. I'm more about promoting festivals and getting people out. I think we tend to be isolated, and in various places they call it an epidemic of people being isolated. And for me at the beginning I thought it was mostly the elderly, but now there's also the young people who are very isolated, and I think that's not healthy. So we have to do more festivals and more activities outside, either after school or during the summer or during weekends, etc. And and we know that 2 years ago, the people elected decided to cut all the funding to the arts. And for me, again, studying the brain, the art is in one section and STEM is in the other section. And for me, they all have to be connected. As they say, art plus STEM is STEAM, and I really believe in that. So these are and finally would be for the environment. I think I mean, what's bad about letting some people experiment with electric car or some electric panel on the house, etc. It doesn't bother other people, and let's let, let, let it explore. I'm all about. Um, I believe in innovation. I believe in, and we know that AI is coming. That's going to be a major transformation. Um, we have to face it. We have to understand what will be the impact, and we have to have a plan B, C, and D to make sure that many people will have to be retrained, and we have to make sure that that's all of that is there, so we go in the right direction.
Very good. Okay, and then the final wrap-up question is, why should the local business community support your campaign?
Um, because because small businesses are the business that hire the most people, um, and um, and I think sadly when those big corporations take over, um, then um, it, it creates just an for me. It's nice when there's different small business. Whether you buy your bread in one place or whether you buy your meat in another place or your fish or you visit your local farmers or you visit people producing or a restaurant that focus only on local produce. Then you support the economy, local economy. Then you support your neighbors. You support um, the next town or the next county over. And I think that's something that we have to foster. We have to hang together, build stronger community. We have to welcome people from different culture. I think that's a plus because the United States of America is being built like that. If we can bring people together towards the same goal, and we want Florida to be prosper, and we want Florida instead. For me, what I find sometimes upsetting is that people think about Florida for this something crazy or something weird, but I believe we can be the number one in education. I believe we can be number one in healthcare. I believe we can be number one in producing solar panel, number one in aerospatial, number one in taking care from the babies to the adult who have some disabilities or differences, and or even the elderly. Um, we're going to need a lot of people with unique expertise, and let's make Florida the place where people want to go, and we really can recruit the best people because that's what we want. And if we have the best people there, then we're producing, we're educating the next generation, and if we make sure we build resilience because of um, everything is happening around us, then we have to move. Then I think our generation will be proud, because something that I find also very sad is that I was at an Asian festival, and I was talking with the young people, and they don't believe anymore in the American dream. And that's something I find very, very, very worrisome. Um, there's a question of hope. There's a question of, and for me, I think I was fortunate. Um, I'm a good example. Grew up relatively poor and did okay. Now it's my time to give back. I don't do it for political gain. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I care about helping others. And we have to let other people have the same hope so they can realize their own version of the American dream. And that's what I would like to restore.
Very good. Okay. In our last minute or so, any final thoughts that you'd like to get in before we close out?
Well, again, thank you for, I think, having associations like that and group that help the small business, either the nonprofit, either the for-profit. I think it's important. I think um, we have to have those brown bag lunch where people meet other people who face the similar problems. We have to prepare the next generation to have good jobs, good paying jobs. Yes, there's universities, but there's college, technical college, vocational college, and I think there's a lot that can be done here. Um, for example, I was at the fair at the Santa Fe College here, and I was surprised that at the end, about 70% of all the jobs was related to taking care of either young people, elderly, or um, so. And I see various like centers built in different cities around. Um, let's potentially create a certificate for taking care of other people so you can get a good job. And that's going to be a need that we're going to have throughout the state. And so certainly a need that we're going to have here in Alachua and Marion County. Um, and we have to continue promoting tourism. But we have to make sure that we keep everything as beautiful as Florida is, and make people welcome, and let's stop being the joke, and let's be considered as the place where people are happy.
Very good. All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to just wrap up by saying it is true that the Gainesville Chamber is very much devoted to community and working together for the good of all. And one of the ways we can do that is ensuring that we get out and make our voices heard. So please make sure that you are represented on Tuesday, August 18th, whether you vote early, in person, just make sure you do it. Get out and vote. Thanks so much, Dr. Dore. Good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.